Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to this first live webinar, the first one of a series of webinars dedicated to English language teachers. Okay, so thank you. It's really nice to see you all. I can see many teachers coming from different parts of the world. My name is Silvia Petrosillo. I'm the marketing manager here in YLE Publishing. And remember, you will find all information about our products, our services, our next webinars as well on yleonline.com. I will be with you today together with our guest star, our speaker. For any technical issue, I'll be here. So just a few technical details before starting and giving the floor to our Jane Ritter. No more a guest, no more, someone to guess, but she's our trainer today. And so the webinar will be recorded. So in the next few weeks, you will be able to watch it again, share with your colleagues, for example. Remember just to access our YLE Multimedia channel, which is the channel on YouTube. You will receive a certificate of attendance by tomorrow at the same time right now, but tomorrow in a PDF format in your inbox. Check your spam because sometimes just go there. And you will also have the opportunity to write down your comments, okay? Jane will be asking a few questions during the session, but especially we will dedicate the main moment to questions and answers at the end of our presentation. So please write down in your chat box, and I'll be able then to read them loud for Jane, and we'll try to get back to each one of you, but we'll see, how many questions will you come in. And last but not least, remember to download before the end of the presentation. You can download the PDF of this presentation. Jane kindly, put it together. I've attached in a PDF format so they can be with you for your study, your archive in a PDF format. Just download it, okay? If you are using a computer, you just press handouts. If you are watching us through a smartphone, follow the icon of a sheet. So press on it, and a PDF will be open. So I think I've said everything, so thank you. So I'm now pleased to give the floor to Jane Ritter with her session, Making Young Learner Exam Preparation Fun. Jane Ritter, she's been teaching for more than 20 years. She has a very deep and strong experience in the teaching and training in the world of the English as a foreign language. She's also training on CELTA and Delta, and she specializes in primary teaching and Cambridge assessment English preparation and examining. And what else? She's also author, she's also writer, so she writes materials. For example, for us, for YLE Publishing, for example, she has written actually the first of a series of 3 volumes, a beautiful series dedicated to the young learner exam preparation. So thank you so much, Jane, to be here with us, and enjoy the presentation, all of you.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Sylvia, and lovely to see you all. I hope you can hear me. We had a little bit of a funny start to this afternoon. I think it's all been rectified. Tell me if you can hear me, Sylvia, please.
Yes, no worries, I will.
Wonderful, wonderful. I heard at the beginning of the webinar that Sylvia mentioned there were people from Athens. Hello, people from Athens. If you please do let us know where you are. We're very, very interested to know. And welcome to the webinar.
So Morocco.
Wow,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Italy. Paris.
Wow.
Madrid.
Wonderful.
And then Italy again Morocco, and then India as well, and Philippines as well.
Wow, fantastic. How
Turkey, Brazil.
Welcome everyone, and particularly those of you who are either staying up late or getting up very early to watch the webinar. We really appreciate you coming along and hope that we can help you with some ideas for preparing young learners. Thank you, Sylvia, for that lovely introduction. Just a little bit about me and where I am. I am here, in Naples. As you can see, the Vesuvius in the background. And this photo really does reflect what it's like here today. It's beautiful, it's sunny, you wouldn't believe it's winter. This is my website if you want to keep in touch. And these are my buddies. This is Minnie and Moon, and they're my dogs. And I will apologize in advance. In my free time, I also run a radio program, and they generally make an appearance. They may make a little bit of a noise just to let you know that they're following the webinar too, and I apologize for this in advance. Okay, what are we going to do today? Well, this afternoon, we're going to look at the tests very, very briefly. I hope you are familiar with them, but there are lots of ways that you can find out more about the tests themselves. And as we cover 3 levels, I won't be able to go into great detail. What I do want to do is I want to focus on activities that will build your confidence and your learners' confidence in preparing for the tests. I'd also hope that they would help to boost their creativity, get them to experiment and play with the language. I'm also going to touch very briefly towards the end on learner well-being. So thinking about how we can support our learners through the test-taking situation. And hopefully within all of this, I'm going to demonstrate some activities which should hopefully make preparation fun. Okay, so just to start, what are the tests like? The tests themselves were designed to bridge classroom teaching with testing. And so the tests are actually very similar to activities that we would use in class with our learners. Okay, what do they test? Well, they test listening. They begin with a listening test. This is an example of part 4 of the starters listening. As you can see, it's a listen and colour activity. So thinking about what the kind of activities you would do in the classroom.
So quite a few yes, especially yes, sure, coloring is fun.
Okay.
So yes.
Another thing that is tested is obviously reading and writing. This is reading and writing part 1. And I think what is really important when we're talking about these tests is to remember that they're also based on how we actually learn languages. So at the very beginning, we would be focusing on receptive understanding. For example, this is a pencil, pick. These are pairs, cross. So very, very simple tasks. And then as they move progressively through the test, learners will obviously meet slightly more difficult, more productive tasks. Also, the way the test is structured, they start with listening, which is how we learn languages. We learn by listening first, reading, and then we move on to the productive skills of writing and speaking. This is an example of the kind of task that they would do in the starters speaking test. As you can see, there's a big page with lots of activities, and the examiner would begin by asking them questions and then encouraging them to interact with the scene card with other little cards, putting them in between the boy and the girl, or on the towel, put the elephant on the towel, little activities like that. Okay, there are 3 levels: starters, movers, and flyers. And as I said, they test the 4 skills of listening, reading, writing, and speaking. They're all linked to the Council of Europe Framework of Reference. Starters is pre-A1 level, movers A1, and flyers is A2 level. Okay, if you're not sure about your student's level or which test might be appropriate, there's a very simple online test that you can get your students to do. I think there are about 15 questions, and you can ask them, you can get them to do that, and it will give you a very sort of vague idea. They'll give you an idea of what test would be more appropriate for your learners. Okay, so as I said, building confidence. Building confidence as opposed to doing hundreds and hundreds of practice tests with your students. And the thing that I use a lot, actually I use all the time, are describing pictures. Okay, let me just come back. Describing pictures doesn't have to be describing pictures in the course book. We can use storybooks, we can use posters, we can use, particularly the posters that we get from people like Ellie. Also, if you have a picture dictionary that has a big scene, it could be thematic, so related to some of the vocabulary that you're studying at the moment, get students to look at the picture and think about describing it. Obviously, to build their confidence, we might want to break it down a little bit into very, very small steps. So, this is a picture, it's a scene. Can anyone tell me where it might be?
Maybe repeat the questions, please.
Yeah. Where is this picture? Where would we find these people and these things?
A shopping center.
Yes.
In the mail.
In the mall. Good. Yes. Exactly. Okay, so look, we present the picture to our students, but we want them, obviously we want to build their confidence, so we want them to tell us a little bit about the picture. So, start, what places can we see in this picture? As we said, we see the shopping centre, we know that it's a shopping centre, but within the shopping centre, there are other places.
A cafe.
Good, great. Okay, so with our students, we would slowly build up a list of the places. Okay, then get them to do another very simple but confidence building task. What objects can you see? We can definitely see a tree because that's just popped up. What other things can we see in the picture?
Okay, so benches, sports goods department.
Wonderful, yes. Okay, so again,
leisure, sports, yes.
Building up a nice list of all the things that we can see in the picture. And it will obviously depend on what we're studying, what they've studied, but it also can help us to gauge what they need to study. Okay, again, people. What about describing these people? So for example, that man with a box, he's got a he's got a beard. Yeah, okay. So we can look at the people themselves and think how we might describe them. There's a person that's tall, there's someone that's short, there's someone with red, blonde, brown hair, long shirt, curly hair, and there also there's a person with a beard. Okay. which is a word that frequently comes up when we're describing people, particularly these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All these answers actually have just come in. I think there's a little bit. I think there's a little bit of delay in terms of your question, and then by the time they get the answer, I think. Are they answers correctly? Yeah, I want to reassure you.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they can see more than I saw when I was preparing this. Okay. Also, what are the people doing? Okay. We can see a little boy. He's on his skateboard, and he looks like he is
having fun.
He's definitely having fun. He's also jumping, isn't he? Yeah.
Someone else having lunch. Yes.
Good.
Walking. The boy on the left is walking.
Wonderful. Yeah. This guy here with the beard, he's pushing a box, isn't he? And these girls look like they're having a pretty good time as well. So they're laughing, smiling. There could be people buying. Yeah. The man with the box also seems to be singing or listening to music. Yeah. Anyway, we've brainstormed a whole lot of vocabulary with our students. And now we want to sort of focus and think about describing situations. So we know we've got blonde hair, we've got sitting, eating, drinking. How can we make a sentence with this? Okay, so we're thinking about who's there. We've got a mum and a boy. What? They've got juice and cake. Where are they? They're in a cafe. And how are they feeling, or what are they doing? They're smiling and sitting. So we've brainstormed these words, and so now we can put them together and make a sentence. Would anyone like to try and put a sentence in the chat?
Okay, let's see. Does anyone like to try by putting down a sentence in the chat box? So Tom, the boy is eating a chocolate cake.
Wonderful, very good, Tom.
Mom is drinking some orange juice.
Lovely. Okay.
And Mom and her son are sitting at the cafe. Sorry, I get passionate about that.
Wonderful, wonderful. No, that's exactly what I want to happen. So thinking about, before we actually go on to building the sentences, we need to think about who, what, where, and how, which were essentially the words that we brainstormed before we went on to do this activity. So as I said, you can do this with any picture in your course book, but you can also use storybooks or pictures and posters and scenes. So it's quite a fun activity. You may find with younger learners that you want to actually get them to then put the words on post-its, and they can put them near the poster or in the book. You can get very small post-it notes these days, although they're not great for small hands. But it's a good way for learners to record vocabulary. Yeah. And so, yeah, we've got some sentences here. Mum and the boy are in the cafe. They're happy. They're smiling. They're eating cake and drinking juice. All right. I'll touch on this a little bit further on when we get on to talking about the speaking tests and some of those activities. But it's a good process to instill from the very start in order to help build confidence when your learners go on to do the tests. Okay. If you were working with higher levels, you could use this activity to brainstorm things that happen in shopping centres and what happens. There is this activity from Fly, which is a shopping day where students read the story and then complete the sentences. But then you could use that as a model for your students to go on and write their own story about a shopping day. So it's a lesson, it's an all-in-one lesson with many phases. Okay. Okay. Another really important thing that we need to do with our learners when we're preparing them is to constantly raise awareness, get them to find differences in images, in facts. It obviously means if you're an inquisitive learner, you naturally see and question things, but we need to be encouraging everyone to be looking for differences, because many of the tasks that learners do in these tests are about finding differences. Okay, very simple. Very, very simple snake. We've got some words in the snake. What kind of words are they?
Jobs.
Good. Okay, so we've got clown, nurse, bowl, oops, film star, giving you the answer, dentist, cook. But one of these is an odd word. It doesn't fit with this set of words. Which one? What is the word that's different?
I guess it's the one in the middle. Bowl.
It is indeed. Yeah. So in if you're revising vocabulary, you may just want to slip in a different word and see if your students notice it. Okay, good. Some activities that might be fun. They could be fun. I think they're fun. If you are using Start, which is a really good book, at the back you've got all these little, you've got these cards, and the cards are related to practice activities within the course book. But I would recommend that you keep those cards for students to use. Something that I do is I give them all a big envelope, and I get them to stick it in the back of their books. Okay, and that envelope is for keeping cards and activities that we can reuse. All right, whenever we start using the cards, one thing that I always get my students to do is cut them and then turn them over so that they're blank. Okay, and in my class, each student will have a different symbol that represents them. So for example, I have a pink swirl, okay? And I put it on the back of all my cards so that I know that they're mine. If you're playing a game later on with it, and you then want to re-separate the cards that are all very similar, it's an easy way to do that. Okay, and then we can use these cards to play memory, we can use them to play odd one out, we can use them to play snap, and we can use them to play definition games. So you've always got something up your sleeve if you need to fill in 5 minutes of a lesson. Okay, but the cards themselves are quite curious. A game that I like to play with mine is silly sentences. So I would ask learners to just pull out 2 random cards. Okay, so here I have a spider dipping swiftly on apple juice. Okay, it's a silly sentence, but I've got these 2 cards and I need to think of something off the top of my head. I'm going to give you 2 cards and I want you to come up with a silly sentence for them.
Okay, let's wait for a few seconds so that teachers start writing down. That's funny.
You have to read it out for me.
Yeah. Okay, first one says, a bird won the bike race.
Wonderful, yes, good.
And a bird is riding a bike, sorry.
And we could even extend on that. We could put in some adjectives. A beautiful blue bird balanced brilliantly on a blue bike. So things that we can actually play around with with the cards and just make anything that comes into our head. It can actually be quite fun with your students. Also, with these two cards, we've got B and B. So if we're practicing the sound B, maybe contrasting it with the sound P, it's a good way to do that. The cards themselves can also be used as password, and if you use more than one, you could ask your students to pull out 2 or 3 or 4. It could lead to simple story building using the vocabulary that they've already practiced in class. Okay, this is another this is a reading and writing activity for starters. Here they look at a picture and they've got some statements and they have to decide if the statement is yes or no. So there are 2 girls playing with a ball, yes. Man is swimming, no. There are 2 blue boats, no. The man has got a brown hat and a red t-shirt. Well, this one does. Okay. So this is a sort of practice activity, and you'll find these at the back of at the end of each unit. So they're kind of related to what they've been studying throughout the unit, but it also gives them some practice in exam type tasks at the end. Again, I like them because you can, and particularly if you're working with an interactive whiteboard, you can use that image and you can ask your learners to tell me or to tell you more about the picture, okay? So tell me about the fish.
So how many fish, for example, can you find in the sea, or can you see?
Yeah. Yep. So there are how many fish? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what color are they?
Mm-hmm.
And so we can actually exploit these to get more from our students. And tell me about is a very good, it will be something that they're actually asked when they're doing the speaking test. So it's good practice for them to do that. If we're moving up a level to the movers level, as I said, odd one out, it keeps coming back. In the speaking test, they'll be given a page of images and they'll be asked to say which one is different and why it's different. Okay, so looking at these pictures, which one is different and why?
Just allow a few seconds. Okay, the first one has come in. So an envelope is odd. It's not a mean of transport, of course.
Yeah, true. I mean, it could be a bit confusing, and it would depend on your background and what you see when you look at this. It's actually a ticket for the underground.
Mm.
So yeah, you're right. It's a ticket, and the others are forms of transport. But children's minds don't work logically like ours, and so a student might say, well, a bus, the tube and a train are in the city and the tractor is in the country.
Actually, I've got an answer like that. Like a tractor doesn't have to do, anything to do with the rest.
Exactly, yeah. And the really good thing is that if a student were to say something like that in the speaking test, that'd be great and it wouldn't be wrong. So it's really important as teachers that we listen to what they're saying and also try and see things from their point of view, because often our learners can see things that we can't. Okay, so there you go. All right, what about this one? Which one is different and why?
The second line, the second row, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, that's curious. Let's see. Come on, write down.
Okay, so this woman here, she's dancing. These people are dancing and he's dancing, but she's skipping.
With no music, for example, as well.
Could be, yeah, there's no music there. That would be a really good answer as well. All answers accepted. Okay, so what can we get our students to do to boost their creativity, to get them thinking about differences and odd ones out? I have loads of pages like this with just 4 blank grids, particularly when I'm doing movers preparation. And I use them for 2 things. I use them for odd one out and I use them for story grids. So just by having a blank sheet of paper, or you can even train your students to do it themselves, they draw the boxes, get them to prepare an odd one out task. And then in groups, they can share and test each other. Which one is different and why? Okay. It's also part of the storytelling task that at movers level they would do in the speaking test. They'll be given a series of pictures, and the examiner will tell them about the first one. So Jim is out for a walk with his dog Bouncer. They're in the park and there are some clouds in the sky. Okay, now you tell the story. Okay. Who's in the picture? We've got Jim. Where are they? In the park. And what's happening? It's cloudy. It could be that it's about to rain. Okay. So who can we see in the photo in the picture now? We can see Jim. And where is he? He's in the park still. And what is he doing? He's putting on his jacket because it's raining. But as you can see, his dog Bouncer is disappearing into the sunset. Okay. He's looking for Bouncer. He's calling for Bouncer. Where is he? Looks like he's climbing up a rock. Okay. And he gets to the top. And who can he see? Bouncer, a rainbow, and it's no longer raining. Okay. So what's important to remember when we are preparing our learners for this specific task is that they don't have to tell a story. It's not a sort of once upon a time there was a boy who was walking with his dog. It's not long and it's just very, very simply describing who they see, where are they, and what's happening. Okay. So a good idea to sort of structure your preparation using this. Okay. Again, afterwards, you could get your students to draw 4 stories and practice telling that story with their peers. Okay, moving up to flyers level. Okay, my favorite place. Okay, I have a favorite place. Everyone has a favorite place. Can you just think for a minute and put your favorite place in the chat?
Okay, the park.
The park, yeah.
My kitchen.
Yep.
My school. The music room. Music room.
Okay.
Bookshop.
Mm-hmm.
Shopping center.
Great. Okay. Here we've got Robert, and we've got some words to describe Robert's favourite place. His favourite place is the library. I know about Robert's favourite place, but you don't. So you're going to ask me some questions. So we've got the first part of the question, favourite place. What's the question? I think you should already know this. I've given it to you. Okay, so the first question will be, what's your favourite place? Okay, or what's Robert's favourite place? Okay, what would the second question be?
Something like, I guess, where is your favorite place, or where is his favorite place?
Where is his favourite place, or just simply, where is it? Okay, time open. What would be the question here? So what time
What time does it open?
Wonderful, good. Like doing, relating to the favourite place. Okay, so yeah, what does he like doing there? Okay, and when does he go there? All right. So if in the speaking test, the learners at Flyers level will be asked to ask questions and also to answer questions. Okay, so initially they would ask questions and then they would have the answers to another person's favourite place and they would answer them. What's really important when we're preparing our learners is to get them thinking about how they might generate questions from a couple of very, very simple clues. Okay, then they could go on to draw their favourite place and open up their own grid and ask each other about their favourite places. It's something fun and nice and personal that students can use in class. Okay. At Flyers level, again, they'll be asked to write a story, okay? And they're asked to write about 20 or more words. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. Let's just look at the first picture. Okay, so thinking about sort of previous input that we had, we're looking at where, what, and who. Yeah, or who, where, and what. There's no particular order. Okay, who can we see? We can see a family.
A family having a picnic.
Exactly. And where is
park?
Yeah, where is? Yeah, is it near something?
Near a river, possibly.
Wonderful. Good. Okay. And now what are they doing in the second picture? What's the family doing?
They're playing with the ball. They're playing volleyball or
Football, maybe. Yeah, good. And what about Mum's hat? Before she was wearing a hat, but now
it's flying.
yeah. Okay. And now, how did the family look?
Yeah, they're looking at the swan. The swan has stolen the hat, Mummy's hat.
Yeah. Do they look happy?
Not really, I think. Not like they used to look. They used to be before, where they were playing. They're a bit shocked.
Yeah. Good. There they are. They're pretty shocked, actually. Yeah. So we would use this to build up a story, and this is a little story about 20 words. But by talking your students through, who can they see, what's happening, we're giving them an idea of what they would need to do to prepare for the task, and hopefully also let them see that they don't have to write a lot. Okay. This would be an example response. Okay, just a couple more things before we finish. Learner wellbeing, as I said, it's really important for us to be supportive and fun and help our learners enjoy preparing for the tests. Okay, I think I've said this probably a couple of times before. There are practice tests that you can use with your students, and there are activities in course books that help students to prepare. And regular practice is important, but it should not form the basis of every lesson. Okay, building confidence in vocabulary building and noticing differences, making comparisons are a lot more useful for building your students' confidence than doing lots and lots of practice tests. Use as many authentic materials as you can to help them improve their listening and their speaking skills. Build vocabulary through games, reading and writing activities. We obviously need to help them manage time and answer the questions effectively, but that can come later or in very, very small chunks as they're going through their preparation. Some suggestions from me. Okay. Obviously focus on the positive, so remind them of the things that they do well. Remember, these tests focus on what they can do, not what they can't do. I use a technique called ready, set, relax, which is obviously a bit like a yoga. And if I see my students getting a bit worn out, we do ready, set, relax. I thought it was kind of appropriate to add it in, as this week is also Mental Health Week. Something that I should have done before I had my coffee fit at the beginning of the webinar. I'm very sorry about that. Anna Hasper talked about this. She was actually talking about older learners coping with pre-exam or pre-test, in the case of the young learners, pre-test stress. And it's a very, very simple 4-7-8. So breathe in, 4, hold for 7, and breathe out, 8. So if you see before a test that your learners are getting a bit wound up, it's a really good thing to do. Everyone can do it together, or that you can just train them to do it for when they're feeling a bit sort of stressed or anxious about the activities that they're doing. There's also Mel Robbins' 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. Okay, so when you're panicking about, should I answer this question or should I answer that question? Should I say this or that? In your head, if you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it will just help you to focus and get on with the task. So they're just a few little well-being suggestions for your learners. I think that's it. Okay, do keep in touch. As I said, this is Start. It's also here, and my website is this. And if you need to contact me, you can contact me through Linktree, Jane Ritter. Thank you very much, Sylvia, for inviting me to come today, and it's been wonderful to have all of these people here. If you need to get in touch with Ellie, the contact details are here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much. Yes, these are our contacts, so please take note of them. I'm sure you already know them. And as I said, you can still download the presentation, so it will be for you as a sort of gift by Jane. Yeah, so thank you so much, Jane. So now I think it's the moment for you to write down some questions. Any questions you might have for Jane, we will be pleased to get back to you. So maybe let's leave them a few seconds.
Yes, definitely.
I can see already a question. Jane, if you like, we can you can stop sharing your screen.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I can already see one question in. So how much time is it appropriate to spend on the test preparation at each lesson, during each lesson?
Oh, that's quite a vast question. It would actually depend on how many hours your students are doing, and how and what level they're at. I think between any one level, they probably need between 100 and 200 hours of instruction. That doesn't mean it's direct preparation. It is sort of language input. So if the materials that you're using, for example, if you're preparing for starters, if you're already using a pre-A1 course book and most course books nowadays have quite similar language, they may only need sort of 20, 30 hours to get familiar with the tasks. A good preparation I probably do if you've only got 20 or 30 hours at your disposal, maybe do it over 2 years and give them a good 45 to 60 hours of preparation. It's generally useful.
Because yes, usually I believe in the Italian school, usually the time dedicated to the exam preparation is a little bit like extra curriculum, for example,
exactly.
or in a few dedicated hours. And actually this leads me to the second question, when here he said, how do I know my students are ready then to take the test?
Well, I think I shared a link and it will be in the handouts. There's a little test that you can do with them to see. And you can also give them some practice tests and see how they respond to them. That should help you to gauge it. If you need any more information, just please get in touch. Help.
Okay. So another question is, do you recommend students to do the mock tests?
I do, but I wouldn't get them to do hundreds and hundreds of them. I think they need to be familiar with the tasks. And if you've got a good course book, they're usually familiar with those tasks because they're kind of integrated into the activities in the course book. So they're doing preparation without knowing that they're doing preparation. But they do need to do 1, 2 mock tests just so that they understand the timing and how they need to write and, complete the tests. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then I've got other couple of questions. What if my student is colorblind or DSA, for example? How can I help him or her?
It shouldn't make a difference. When you're booking them for the test, you need to tell the centre that you're booking them into of this. If they're colorblind, for example, questions like when I was asking about the fish, I'd ask how many fish there are, but I wouldn't ask the child what's colorblind. What's really important is to flag these things up, and learners can be given different kinds of materials, extra time, or scribes, depending on the kind of support that they need. You just need to flag it up when you're booking the students in for the session.
Okay. Then I got this other question. So this teacher is asking whether students should translate some text. Is it something? Yeah, I don't think it's required by in the paper. No, not at this stage.
No,
I mean,
no, absolutely not. No, we're for building, not for deconstructing. No, definitely not. It's not necessary to translate. No.
Okay, so it's not necessary even to teach, let's say, a focus session or translation, not maybe at this level, possibly.
I think it would just confuse things. I think more would be just for looking at images and asking the key questions and being able to answer them. By doing that, you can already write or answer a question about a picture, and you can put a text together.
Okay. And yes, well, here this is actually a similar question. How can I give more listening practice?
Right, that's a very, very good, a very good question. And I think nowadays we're very, very lucky with the resources that we have online. Listening to readers, we have there are readers that come with course books now, listening and reading, listening to podcasts. There are specific podcasts for kids that you can find on a variety of sites in a variety of Englishes, so from British English to American English. to lovely storytelling in India. There's stuff everywhere. YouTube, obviously, you need to check that before you use them in class. Do check the reliability of the material and the ads that pop up beforehand. But there's a wealth of stuff that we can do nowadays, and we can actually set those things for homework.
Sure.
Much nicer homework to sort of listen to a podcast or to watch a little video rather than to do a whole lot of practice exercises.
Or just use, the series of the YLE Publishing books, because they include lots of digital material as well.
Exactly.
In terms of listening and videos and extra tests and yeah, there's so much. I've got just one last question, because now all questions are coming in. Which test should I choose, and how should I choose it?
Okay. I'm not sure what your actual teaching context is, but we do have the Council of Europe framework. So there's pre-A1, A1, and A2. If you have an idea, perhaps look at the coursebook that you're currently using with your students and see what level it's pitched at. Or if not, there's that little online test that your learners can do to see what level there is best for them.
Okay, can the pupils actually attend, for example, register to the movers without doing the starter?
Yeah, of course they can. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense to start with starters.
Yes.
And then do movers and then do flyers, and that gives you a very nice sense of achievement, and you've collected all the certificates. But you wouldn't, I mean, certainly if you're 13, or not, sorry, 12, I think it goes up 12, but sometimes 13-year-olds can do it. Doing starters would seem a little bit babyish. They might be better doing movers or flyers.
Okay. Okay, I believe, this is, the time, to be honest, has run out a little bit. So I'll make sure to to put together all the other questions we're not getting back to now, and I'll pass on to Jane. So don't worry, because you will receive, replies.
Definitely, I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, let me know if there are any other questions.
Sure. So in the meantime, I can only say thank you to Jane and for being here for this lovely and very interesting session. Thanks for writing this volume for us, of course. Beautiful series. And thanks to all the teachers who have joined us today. It's always nice to see you, so many from all over the world. I have to say, it's really very, very, very good, very good. And for any other details, doubts, clarifications, anything, just get in touch with YLE Publishing. Our website is yleonline.com, or send an email to international@yleonline.com. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Jane. Arrivederci. Bye. Bye-bye.